Look, okay.
You need to tell us right now, dude. I need my sister back, dude. I'm gonna kill myself without my sister. Chris.
Yeah, I know.
Where is she?
I turned, grabbed her, then stepped forward and twisted her around so that her body was in between me and the knife.
Warning, some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be telling the story of Lee Porter, a young woman from Pueblo, Colorado. Growing up, Lee was known for her positive attitude and her ability to bring joy to those around her. She was close with her family and enjoyed dressing up and performing skits for them. Lee had a particularly strong bond with her older brother, Max. They were best friends and were almost always together. They grew up playing with the same group of local friends, and their bond only grew stronger during their high school years. In high school, Lee was a typical student who enjoyed spending time with the artsy crowd and listening to electronic music. She loved capturing every moment of her life on her phone. When Max went off to college, Lee was eager to join him. So when she graduated, she chose to attend the same college and study massage therapy. At college, Lee had a good start. She enjoyed her classes and was excited about her future career. She had no trouble making friends, but she often preferred spending time with her brother and his friends over her own peers and classmates. However, when Max graduated from college and found a job, Lee was understandably devastated. She had lost her closest friend and an important source of support in her social circle. The long distance between them and the impact on her emotional health was clear to those around her, and it marked the beginning of a tragic downward spiral that her friends and family were unable to stop. Lee's mother noticed a change in her daughter's behavior shortly after her brother left for college. She had become withdrawn and sullen, no longer the bright and cheerful girl she had been before. Lee was also going through a difficult breakup with her boyfriend, Jesse, who was significantly older than her. According to one of Lee's friends, it was Jesse who introduced her to a new form of drug, heroin. Lee's friend Mallory recalled the moment when she found out about Lee's drug use. The two friends were driving to a concert in Denver when Lee admitted to Mallory that she had been using heroin and had become addicted. Mallory was shocked and saddened by this revelation and did everything she could to help Lee. They attended meetings with Narcotics Anonymous, hoping to help Lee overcome her addiction. However, with Lee's brother Max in California and her college degree on hold, Lee's relationship with Jesse eventually ended. With no place to go, Lee found herself homeless and turned to Facebook to ask her friends for help in moving to Denver. She also reached out to her brother Max and confided in him about her struggles with heroin addiction. Max was heartbroken when he heard about Lee's battle with the dangerous drug. He knew this wasn't like her and tried to warn her about the dangers of heroin, but he didn't want to say anything that would push her away or prevent her from confiding in him. On June 3, 2014, Lee's friend Mallory met with her and described her as super sick, saying that she had been without the drug for 3 days. Despite their efforts to help her, this would be the last time anyone saw Lee alive. On June 3, 2014, 19-year-old Lee Porter disappeared. Her brother Max later stated that he knew something was wrong right away because Lee was a frequent texter, but all communication ceased on June 3rd. Max and his mother, Renee Jackson, reported her missing to the police. Officers immediately brought Jesse Mine in for questioning. Mine claimed that he and Lee had had an emotional breakup, after which he moved out of their apartment. Jesse Mine told police that the last time he had seen Lee was in a motel parking lot near Denver, where they had said goodbye. He was headed to Maryland to his parents' house, where he planned to get clean from his own addiction. According to Mine, Lee stopped texting or calling not long after they split up. He wasn't worried about her, figuring that she was doing fine in Denver with her friends and that she had already gotten over him. It was only when Max called him, asking about the whereabouts of his sister, that he started to get worried. Based on Mine's explanation and his strong alibi, police excluded him from their list of suspects. Lee's mother, Renee, noticed a name and number appearing frequently in her daughter's social media and phone records. The name belonged to Christopher Wade, a man Renee knew from high school who seemed to have a romantic relationship with Lee based on his comments on her posts. However, Renee and Lee's brother Max were confused about this relationship because Wade was not the type of person Lee normally associated with. Wade was 23 at the time of Lee's disappearance and had a background in the Army as a helicopter mechanic and in criminal justice with the goal of becoming a police officer. Renee was curious about the connection between Wade and her daughter and decided to contact him to ask about it. When she did, Wade explained that he was serving as Lee's accountability partner, a kind of sponsor for recovering drug addicts. This revelation came as a surprise to Renee, as she had not been aware of Lee's struggles with addiction. She immediately began to worry about her daughter's well-being. According to Wade, he had first connected with Lee after seeing her social media post asking for help finding a place to stay in Denver. At the time, he lived in Westminster and offered to lend her a hand. He stated that they met, but Lee left the same day she arrived. Wade told Renee that Lee received a message late that night and was picked up by someone in a white pickup truck. When police questioned him, Wade gave them the same story he had given Renee, but added a few more details. He said that they had gone to Boston Market for dinner and then returned to his apartment, where they talked and played video games. After Lee went missing, Wade joined in the search, even posting pleas on social media. While Lee's family was putting up missing person posters all over Colorado, Wade seemed genuinely distressed by her disappearance and had actively tried to help locate her. As the investigation into Lee's disappearance deepened, a shocking discovery was made. Police found her abandoned car in the parking lot complex where Christopher Wade lived. Inside the vehicle were all of Lee's belongings from her dorm at college, but a search for blood and DNA yielded no results and offered no leads. Despite his cooperative attitude and public pleas on Facebook for information about Lee's whereabouts, something seemed off about Wade during police interviews. The officers sensed that he was withholding something, so they delved deeper into his past and learned that he had been discharged from the Army for violent behavior. With his permission, they searched his disgusting two-bedroom apartment in Westminster. The place was filthy, with video games, soda bottles, leftover takeout, clothes, and dishes scattered everywhere. The stench was overpowering, making it difficult for investigators to remain in the home for the duration of the search. The worst room by far was Wade's bedroom, where they found the floor covered in clothes, coupons, and a soiled mattress with a large blood stain. A duffel bag full of size 14 women's underwear was on the floor in plain sight. As they began emptying the bag, a panicked Wade admitted that he had bought the underwear for himself, confessing that he felt more comfortable wearing women's underwear than his own. Police also discovered blood spots that had been cleaned with bleach and a knife alongside the mattress. They seized Wade's computer, where they found searches for child pornography and violent sex sites. As the evidence against him mounted, Wade was taken into custody for questioning. When asked about the knife, he claimed that he had cut his hand about a week and a half earlier and used bleach to clean it, but the officers were not convinced by his story. As they pressed him for more information about what they had found in his apartment and its connection to Lee, Wade finally broke down and told his story. According to Wade, Lee had come onto him earlier in the day. He claimed that the two of them had been at his place playing video games when she leaned in and kissed him. Initially surprised, he kissed her back and the kissing led to them having sex in his bedroom. However, that was where the story ended. Wade returned to his original narrative, saying that Lee had received a text and was picked up in a truck, and that was the last time he saw her. Despite the evidence against him, police were unable to find concrete evidence to link Wade to Lee's disappearance. In an effort to incriminate him further and uncover the truth about Lee's whereabouts, they placed him under 24-hour surveillance. At the same time, they were conducting a search of Wade's apartment, and Lee's brother Max flew home to conduct his own investigation. After discussing Wade with former classmates, Max learned that he kept a journal with disturbing writings about his sadistic fantasies. These fantasies included capturing women and holding them as sex slaves, as well as scenes of rape and graphic murder. Determined to get to the bottom of Lee's disappearance, Max took matters into his own hands. He learned that Wade was obsessed with tarot cards and asked him if they could meet for a reading, saying that he hoped it would help solve the mystery of his sister's disappearance. This provided the perfect cover for Max to get close to Wade and probe him for answers. Wade agreed to meet Max, believing that he was a new friend. During their meeting, Max gently probed Wade for information, but was initially met with denials. He insisted that it was okay if Wade had done something to Lee and that he could forgive him if he would just share the truth. Despite Max's persistence, every question was met with denials, but eventually Wade began to open up and share what had happened. According to Wade, after they went to Boston Market and returned to his apartment, the two played video games and had sex, but that was only the beginning. The most shocking revelation was yet to come. As they sat in his home, Lee began begging Wade for money, claiming that she needed it for drugs. When he refused to give in to her desperate pleas, she became enraged and irate, fueled by her addiction. In a moment of pure rage, she pulled a knife on him, launching them into a violent scuffle. Wade claimed that he had no choice but to fight back to protect himself, but he insisted that he hadn't wanted to hurt her. He just needed to get the knife out of her hand.
Chris, look at me right in my eyes. Dude, where is she?
I do not know. Look, okay.
You need to tell us right now, dude. I need my sister back, dude. I'm gonna kill myself without my sister. Chris.
Yeah, I know.
Where is she?
Look. You have every right to be angry with me. I turned, grabbed her, then stepped forward and twisted her around so that her body was in between me and the knife. Then I placed my hand at her throat. I didn't start squeezing until after she kept going. I told her,
How
drop the
long
knife,
did you
please.
squeeze her throat? Until what happened?
I thought that her muscles would relax when she went unconscious and that I could gradually move the knife away and let her go and let her regain consciousness, but that didn't happen.
I'm just gonna let you walk away and drive away? You killed my sister. No, give me away. Give me away.
As soon as Wade finished telling his story, Max became enraged and jumped over the park table, hitting him in the face. Max's friend, who had accompanied them for support, eventually managed to pull him off, but not before Max had landed several punches. Max then revealed that he had recorded the entire conversation on his phone and intended to go to the police with the evidence. Upon hearing this, Wade promised to confess to the crime and go to the police himself, but Max wasn't taking any chances. He called 911 and held Wade there until the police arrived.
Yes, I'd like to confess to a murder.
Okay. What happened?
The case is for the disappearance of Lee Porter.
Wade was arrested and handcuffed by officers at the park. He was charged with first-degree murder, sexual assault, tampering with evidence, and possession of child pornography, which was found on his computer. To avoid facing all these charges, Wade agreed to plead guilty to second-degree murder in exchange for leading authorities to Lee's body. The police agreed to this deal, and after repeating his taped confession to them, Wade revealed how he disposed of Lee's body. He claimed that he put her in trash bags, then into a duffel bag, and threw it all into a dumpster. He admitted to knowing how to clean a crime scene because of his criminal justice classes and said that the only reason he had confessed was because the tarot cards had told him to do so. He said he had foreseen the entire outcome during the reading at the park.
I was the only witness, as well as the person that not murdered her, but was responsible for her death. Reclothed her, and I placed her on the bed, and then I took a duffel bag took her out to the dumpster, and I put her inside it.
The landfill was searched for 40 days, but the police were only able to retrieve some of Lee's belongings from that night, including her cell phone and some of her clothes. There was no trace of her remains. Lee's family was unhappy about the plea deal, feeling that it failed to bring them closure or bring Lee's body home to them. Both the family and law enforcement suspect that Wade is lying about where he disposed of the body and continues to give false leads to the authorities. They believe that he killed Lee after she denied his sexual advances. Despite the conviction, Lee's family still lacks the closure they desire. In 2015, Christopher Wade was sentenced to 48 years in prison at the Sterling Correctional Facility. His incarceration is largely due to the diligent detective work of her brother Max.
19-year-old Pueblo woman, her family saying they want the man arrested for her death, Christopher Wade, to suffer, even promising to take action themselves if they have to.
They did. We also saw tears in the courtroom today, Kelly, but the hearing itself was marked more for a brief power outage than anything really substantive. We did get a chance to hear from Lee Porter's family. We also got a chance to see the suspect, Christopher Wade, in court, and his supporters as well. He had a good 5 to 6 people in the courtroom today.
I want him to suffer. I want him life in prison. I don't in regular jail. And if they don't do it, I'm going to kill him myself. I promise.
We also know that a body was discovered in a southern Colorado lake on Sunday. Because both the suspect and the victim were from southern Colorado, we checked, and at this point, investigators in Westminster don't believe those two cases are connected.
It was the right thing to do. I think it's justice. I know the family doesn't think that right now. I hope that one day they will.
It was more important to us that he go away for life.
Lee's mom still wears this photo of her daughter around her neck. and says the hardest part is not knowing where Lee is.
I'm having the most difficult time living with that. I mean, I'm trying to come to terms that someday I may never find her.